Mr. Steve here. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate you. And we're going to make a procedural geometry nodes based weld. It's going to have a Boolean effect, so it reduces geometry. You'll have a number of different things, and we'll UV unwrap this. So you'll have an XY coordinate here, so you can change how this unwraps. You can change it any way you like. We'll have a detail factor to accentuate the noise, and then of course we can blow this thing up with a scale and or change the resolution. So yeah, you can change the materials, do whatever you want. And this is, like I said, it's going to be procedural. Make sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate everybody being here. All right, we got a fresh copy of Blender, and I'm going to turn on Cavity. You guys can see this a little bit better, hopefully. Kind of accentuate the edges. And we're just going to Shift D, make a copy of this cube. And we're going to do a basic geometry node setup. We're going to drop in the mesh Boolean node. And we're going to drop in an object info node. And then you're going to select the object is not active. Obviously, we'll set this to relative. And what we want to do is pull this out. And we want to say mesh to curve. And then we're going to resample, and then we want to do the obvious, which is going to be your curve to mesh. And when you've got this set up, you need a profile, but I don't like to just drag it and auto connect it because it's heavy on resources. So you can type in curve circle, and then you can drop the radius to something like 0.05, and then you can plug it in. And when you do that, you won't have as much, if it's connected. It's obviously not now. You don't have as much resource draw immediately. And for this, I don't believe I have turned on, go to add-ons and node wrangler. Yeah, I have not turned that on yet in this new version. So now you should be able to Control Shift right click and get a join geometry. And whoop, that was not quite what I was looking for, but no big deal. So now from here, once we've tagged this in, we'll see that we have our edges on that object. Now we want to put the mesh Boolean from float to exact, and that will expose the intersecting edges. Plug that directly in to the mesh to curve. So now we've got the reaction here, and you can kind of see how this is going to work. It's very good. It's procedural, and you want to be able to bring up the count so it looks good. And we can immediately, and as I go, I like to kind of expose these values. I'm not trying to search for them all at the end. So I'm going to draw out the count, and I don't really like it being named count. So I'm going to go into the group here and double click on this, and I'm just going to call this res for resolution. And I think that looks good. Now from here, this is almost the absolute last step. And then you'll have a working model of this. So we just want to go ahead and set our position. And when we set our position here, we're going to want to set it using some vector math. So we'll grab a vec math multiply. And once we've got that, we can put that directly into the offset. And we want to get something like a Voronoi texture. You can use anything that you want. And we're going to plug directly our distance into the first vector, and then we want to multiply this by the normal. So when we multiply this by the normal, we'll actually get something here. Now this is set obviously way too high, and there's a couple things we want to do. I'm going to pull out my scale here first, and I want to bring the scale down just a little bit. And in order to control this even better, I'm going to need to add another math node in, and that is going to be set to scale. So this one will give us a bit more control, and this is kind of give us our, what I would call the accentuated extension or extrusion, if you will. So now this will be controllable and still extremely functional. We really haven't added a whole lot to it. So let's take a look at it in solid view. That's actually not too bad. And the bigger this scale is, the more that's going to push out and it's going to follow the noise. So you could lower the noise to 1.2, maybe more like a 3. Now our resolution really isn't that high right now, so we could raise that up, and this integer value that is coming from the resample curve, I'm going to plug that right into the resolution here as well, so they kind of follow pace. And in my example, I had it set to almost 1,000. So when we put this to 500, we'll see this starts looking better. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this scale out, and I want to go ahead and expose that on the modifier panel, so that way we just have access to everything. And as before, I'm going to change this. I already have another scale, so I want this to be a detail, and we can go right there. So now we have the detail, we have the actual overall scale, we have the Voronoi texture being projected, we have our resolution, which we can increase. Now this does not look great, so what we want to do is come over here, and we need to do something extra, and we will smooth the geometry. I don't know if you guys have ever used this node before or not, but once you tag that in, it's going to start looking a lot better. Iterations, you can adjust it till it kind of kills the harsh corners, because you would never get those metallic, let me mute this, you would never get those hard edges like that on a weld. And so not even on a push-pull. On a dime stack, maybe if you're pulling off and leaving little buttons everywhere, maybe, but not so much. So there you go. So now that's basically the entire tutorial. If you want to stick around, I appreciate it. You can like and subscribe, because we're going to do a UV unwrap for this now. All right. I appreciate everybody who has decided to stick it out. And what we're going to do is we're going to clean some of this up, and we will make a frame. And in the new Blender, you just can type frame. So I'm going to just clean this up for 2 seconds, and you can always press N in the end panel and go to node, turn on color. And since this is a curve and is basically my geometry, I'm going to make it green. I can bring my label size up, and everybody can see it, and it's now a little bit cleaner. Now for this, I'm just going to frame this up the way it is, and we can just call this position. And because this is a vector, I'm going to make this one a little bit more like a purple. Go a darker purple, like a true vector. And that's pretty good. You can always grab the color scheme here too and change that. So now we have our curve, we have our position, and what we're going to want to do is grab the 2 geometries here and shift right swipe, shift right swipe. This will kind of show you what you're doing. You can always press F2 on this too, and I can say this is going to be my curve, and this is going to be my geo for geometry, if it'll take it. Every now and then it doesn't want to do so. And we'll try that one more time. There we go. And so now we want to capture a couple of attributes. So I'm just going to drop this one right here, leave it on point, Shift D, and leave it on point for this one as well. And now we need a spline parameter. So when you get your spline parameter, this is going to dictate how this is going to read the data from the curve. So we're going to go ahead and plug this in, and I made a little bit of a mistake here. Actually, we're not coming over here, and we can leave that as geo. We're actually grabbing the curve circle, and we are also grabbing and we're going to want to store named attribute. So when you get that, you can name it, and we can plug in the vector once we've actually switched it up, we want to go to 2D vector, and we want face corner instead of point, and this will give us our XY. So let's just plug this into the value, and this will be my boolean underscore curve, and I can just hit enter. Now from here, I'll do a horizontal split, and I want to pull up the shader editor. Now, I don't have any materials on anything yet. I'm going to go ahead and pull one in, and I'm going to grab the other cube, and I'm going to grab and put a material on that as well. Now the thing I want to do, I'll come over here, and I can actually add a second container for another material, and that's going to be the one we put here. In fact, we don't really need the second one right now. What we do want to do though is we want to go over to Polyhaven and grab a couple of free assets. Now that you're over here at Polyhaven, you can go into the metal tab and you can grab something here like the rusty metal. I got that one. Rusty metal plate, anything you want to kind of add something extra to your mesh. So what we could do is just grab the rusty metal, and it's set for Blender and 4K. That's good enough. I'll go ahead and click download and make sure that I get that. Now over here in my downloads, I'm just going to grab this and go ahead and extract it. And I don't care, I'm going to extract it right in my downloads. And then I'm just going to close all of that out because I don't need it now. And back in Blender, I'm going to grab the principal BSDF. And since I have Node Wrangler enabled, I can press Ctrl-Shift-T. And I'll go into my download, and I'll go ahead and say, what did I just download? And it would be the rusty metal. I'll go into textures, just going to left click, drag, and highlight all of these and hit enter. And Node Wrangler is going to do the rest. You'll give it a second for it to kind of calculate. Sometimes it's a little laggy. Now I'm going to go over to the texture coordinate, hold down Alt, left click. I may want to use it later, you never know, so keep those nodes around. And I want to type in attribute. I'm going to copy, Control V, enter. And now over here, I don't have anything listed, like there's no material set up. So we need set material nodes on our geometry nodes group. Now just a little thing I like to do, and I'll actually go ahead and turn on my node minimap with Control M. And this is on Blender Market if you guys want it. My collab buddy Sam, he made this. So you go into the node mapper and we can go ahead and set the minimum maximum for this, so I can kind of scroll around and figure out where I would like to be. And I'll press N to get rid of that. And in fact, I don't really want it where it is in that position, so I'm going to say top left to kind of get it out of my way a little bit. And now I've got a workspace and I've got my mini map. So when I'm done with that, I press Control M. And what I'm going to want to do is bring the intersecting edges all the way over. So I'm going to kind of zoom out just a little bit with Control middle mouse wheel. And I want to bring that socket to about right here and type in not. And it's going to give me a Boolean math not, because we want to do a set material for both the curve and the object. So I'll do a set material, and I want to shift right click here and plug that in, do another set material, and whatever is not that is going to get the other material. So we'll go into Eevee, and I've already got material over here, and I do want to change this. We'll call this metal plate rusty, and I want the cube to get metal plate rusty. So I'll give that just a second to load, and there's metal plate rusty. And I did jump just a little bit ahead of myself here. We can plug the UVs back in right there. And then this object, we can actually make a quick geometry node group here. And you can always set your material any way you want. This is just for fun. And now we've got the same material on both objects. And I need to go ahead and get this to coincide with a different material. So I'm going to create another one. And now I will do the Control-Shift-T again. I'm going to back out of here just a little bit. And you can use any textures you wish. These may not be a perfect match, but they're going to be fine. And this one will be, we'll just call this Material 2, just so I can identify it. And over here in the Set Material node, we'll grab Material 2. And so now this is going to project on the edge for us, which is perfect. And now what I meant to do the last time is what I meant to do this time. So we'll grab our attribute node. And first, just so we can kind of see what's actually going on here, so it's actually pretty important, we can actually delete that material, make a new material just for a second here, and I want an image texture. And what we'll do is create a new material so you guys can see it, and we'll do a color grid. Now hit OK, and obviously nothing's going to happen. I need my attribute from the geometry nodes with the vector tagged in ever so nicely, which is right here, my Boolean curve. And we'll just drop that in and hit enter. And obviously now we don't have material 2 anymore, even though it's still loaded. We have material.001 now, so we'll go ahead and plug that in. Alright, so I made a little error here. The capture attribute needs to be behind the curve to mesh. So I'm just going to slide that in right there. And we'll go ahead and re-tag in our length. And then plug that back in here. And now we've got our UV maps unwrapped. So this looks nice. You can kind of just take a look at this. You could throw in a math node if you wish to these values, and you can add to them or you can multiply them, and you can shift how they are. You can shift them on the axis by either stretching or pulling them or kind of squishing them down. You can move them any which way you want. And we can switch this even to multiply if you want, and you can kind of drag this along the axis and increase or decrease however you wish. Now over here, all we're going to have to do is make sure that this material is tied in with the attribute. Now that we've done all that, we can actually delete that and do our Control-Shift-T again. And this is just about the end of the tutorial, and please don't forget, it really does support everything I do here for the like and subscribe, and I really appreciate everybody being here. It means absolutely the world to me, and just kind of showing you guys one of my little tricks for doing this. And when we plug this in, we've now got our UVs perfectly projected along this curve. Yeah, so that's basically it. That's the tutorial. Now you can substitute if you want different things in here. You can modify this any way you want. You can pull out the intersecting edges and do a lot. This is just a very simple setup with a few controls that make sense. If you wanted to export these, you could pull these out as well. We'll just do that one last item here, and we'll just make this the X and Y. And with these values, the first one was our X, the second one was a Y. And there you go. So now you can play with your materials right here and make your adjustments. And you don't have to be in the shader editor, you don't have to be in the geometry nodes editor. Once you expose these values, you're good to go. And you can kind of play around with the scale here. I can mess around with the detail. Excuse me, hold down Shift when we work on the detail, because it's going to push out on the noise pattern for us. And there we go. We can kind of shift our material around to do whatever we want. And I appreciate you guys watching. And if you do want to support even further, please feel free to jump over to my SuperHive page market page, and you can see me under Mr. Steve 3D. Got the cracks add-on. I've got standoff lights, pretty cool. It offsets lights for you, so when you put your 3D cursor on the mesh and you click, you can make a little adjustment so the light does not show up inside of the mesh plane. That's super annoying. You can extract text in Blender. It'll put it straight to the clipboard for you. That's super cool. I've got lighting and a number of other add-ons in here. The bevel joints, what we just went over, was one of the features. And then my biggest add-on, the cracks add-on. See you guys in the next one. I'm Mr. Steve, and Sam and I made all of these add-ons. Thank you.